Hey everyone, so this video will be all about Goodbye Columbus. I know a lot of you have read it by now, so leave me comments and tell me what you think, and here's my short little review of the novel. The novel is often likened to Salinger's The Catcher in the Rye, which is why I wanted to discuss it after Catcher, but I do think that comparison is completely unjustified. It is also a bit of a coming-of-age novel, even though it's not really that, because it's about a 23-year-old Jewish boy who lives with his aunt and uncle in Newark, New Jersey. At a local swimming pool, he meets a Jewish girl named Brenda Potemkin, who is from a higher social class, living in Short Hills, and he falls in love with her. I won't go into detail too much on the summary of the novel, because a lot of you have read it, and if you haven't, you can always find a summary somewhere online. But it does really focus on the class differences. We have the lower social class, which is represented by Neil Klugman, the Jewish boy, and he falls in love with a wealthy, suburban Jewish girl who has too much money, even by her own standards. She had plastic surgery done, and we can tell by the descriptions of her house and the places they meet, like the tennis club, that she is quite well off. Philip Roth also includes a lot of emphasis on sports, another metaphor for competitiveness in a social sense, as well as this Jewish assimilation that he likes to discuss. I can see how Neil has a lot of similar character traits when you compare him to Holden Caulfield, but it is this comparison that I find a little bit too revealing because it points out just how lacking Goodbye Columbus really is. Neil is also a very dreamy character. He tells a few lies about himself from time to time. He isn't very ambitious as far as I can tell. He resents his parents, and he actually resents quite a lot of people in the novel. The difference I find with Holden Caulfield is that even though Holden also considers himself to be a victim of his environment, much like Neil does, Holden doesn't quite pity himself as much. I think Holden's aversion to other people has more to do with his personal psychological trauma and his youthful ignorance. Whereas with Neil, I really get the feeling that he enjoys villainizing other people and victimizing himself, while also having a sort of pretentious attitude throughout. I kind of find the whole novel to be rather pretentious. I think it tries to show off its message rather than try to convey it humbly or subtly. The class differences are extremely obvious, and they're also used by Neil in a sort of accusatory tone. The fact that Brenda and her family are quite materialistic and very concerned with physical appearance and reputation is often emphasized, and we're supposed to take Neil's side on this and sort of resent her for that, and then consider Neil as the more grounded, down-to-earth, a rational character, which he really isn't. And at the same time, Neil clearly wants to belong to this nouveau riche. And that is of course something that we would never find with Holden Caulfield. While Holden would criticize others and call them phony, he never did so out of a sense of jealousy or envy towards the higher class's luxury or possessions. He just did it because he didn't like them. Holden was really only a victim in so much that he was obligated to function in a society that worked like that, but he never really aspired to belong to it, or even tried to belong to it. Neil is constantly shaped by his environment and tries to belong to it, and considers himself to be a victim because of that. Holden Caulfield, I think, was victimized because he consistently resisted conforming to his environment. So while both characters deal with very similar issues, they are still very, very different. I read the novel with a comparison to Catcher in mind, so I think that's maybe why it bugged me so much. I think it's a bit of a pretentious novel about a very insecure boy who's already a man because he's 23, and he doesn't really know who he is, what he wants in life, and constantly lets his environment define him. The way he acts towards Brenda and the way she reacts, because we haven't really discussed her, but I think she's mentally unstable and kind of weird, is just a little strange, and it doesn't really evoke any sympathy on my part. Anyway, so maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh on the characters of the novel, perhaps unfairly so. Maybe it's also just the style of writing that I'm not liking that much. I think there are very little action beats in the novel. Almost nothing happens, the story seems to go absolutely nowhere, and there's also no personal catharsis for any of the characters at any point. It's a very smart novel, but for me there was just very little to actually connect with. For me the characters were a little bit too superficial, both functionally as well as content-wise, and I just found the story to be a little bit too dull for my taste. But yeah, I'm being a little harsh on Philip Roth. I apologize, Philip Roth, I'm pretty sure you're not even watching my video, but if you are, I'm really sorry. I had different expectations, I think, which sort of ruined the whole novel for me. I hope you guys liked it a lot better than I did. If not, I apologize for putting you through that. Leave me comments, tell me what you think. Anyway, try to convince me in the comments, tell me why this is a brilliant book or why it deserves to be compared to Catcher in the Rye, because I can't see it, but maybe you can. For the next book review, someone suggested The Great Gatsby, which I think is a really, really good idea, seeing as how the movie is out and we can compare the two. I hope you're interested in that. Leave me a comment and I can post a review of The Great Gatsby exactly 1 month from today. But I'll see you before that in other videos. I hope you guys are doing well, have a great weekend, and I'll see you soon. Peace out!
Sleepless night ahead. All this touchy-feely crap, and it's just in time for bed. You say to open up, and that emotions run so deep. You say to talk about my feelings, but I'm feeling I just wanna shut up and sleep. Talk about my feelings, but I'm feeling I just wanna shut up and sleep.